Now, this is also in your book, right?
It is, yes.
Okay,
it
great.
can be taken in written form, or it can be done electronically.
Well, before the break, you were trying to finish a question I asked you about the fortification. So let's just remind our listeners, we were talking about the food industry and how these chemicals have affected the food industry, and you were talking about how they take out nutrition and refortify.
Yes, well, the basic nutrients, I think most people are aware now of what our food should, in theory, contain, has been lost. It's lost as a result of the growing and the use of herbicides, fungicides, pesticides, on and on. And then through the processing, of course, that eliminates quite a bit more of the nutrient value of our food. But the food processors have some time ago begun to recognize that the public is concerned about that. So their answer was to do what is known as fortification, and that is during the process of creating food and cans and packaging and so forth, they add certain nutrients. But what are those nutrients? And based on what I examined as part of this book, it was clear that the nutrients they're adding are really just more synthetic chemicals. These were created in laboratories to mimic the effects, not to duplicate, just to mimic the effects of certain vitamins and minerals that are lost in processing. So that doesn't surprise me at all. First of all, as most people are becoming aware now, the pharmaceutical industry controls most of the vitamin industry. More than 80% of the vitamins and minerals sold in this country are produced by pharmaceutical companies. Well, what do they do in the laboratory? They don't take their nutrients direct from plants. They try to recreate and mimic the effects at the molecular level in the laboratory. So thus we have mostly vitamins and minerals that are laboratory creations, much like the nutrients created to fortify foods. And the point I make is that there is a difference. Under an electron microscope, a molecule of something to mimic vitamin A, for instance, may look similar, if not the same, as a vitamin A molecule that's direct from a plant source. But there is a difference in the way the body metabolizes. There are many studies emerging indicating a difference in the way the body metabolizes. And this gets us into this whole realm of what I discuss in the book about the difference between naturally occurring synergies and synthetic chemical synergies, which are mostly toxic. The naturally occurring synergies are mostly positive for the body. These are the interactions between different molecules of nutrients that create positive effects that boost the immune system. This is a principle that's well known in traditional Chinese medicine, a principle well known in traditional Indian or Ayurvedic medicine, in which these combinations of herbs create positive effects for the body. And this is part of the theme of the book, that the naturally occurring, which include cofactors, now this is a term that applies to aspects of the herbs, like the leaf or the stem or whatever it is, that's eliminated by most of the vitamin companies in the laboratory recreations. And it's the elimination that eliminates also a lot of the positive synergistic impacts, the naturally occurring principle, as I call it.
Yes, and my listeners are familiar with what you're saying, because, I've tried to educate them to tell them that, along with the stronger alkaloid chemicals in a plant, there's the buffers that are built into there.
Yes.
So the body can absorb and use the stronger chemicals properly and void out any residue without toxicity. And the flawed thinking of the pharmaceuticals, who are now making a lot of your medications, which are, I think, less than 2% from an organic source now, and the supplements now, synthetic, they're not including all those buffers and Therefore, your body's having to take from its own nutritional stores to kind of build those blocks that are missing for the body to use it properly. In a lot of cases, people are under-fortified, so they can't. And what you hopefully wind up hoping is that you void it out, and it's just a waste of money. But in a lot of cases, it can be stored in the body and become a toxic problem.
A good example that you've probably shared with your listeners in the past has to do with the effect of vitamin C on scurvy. It was discovered a couple of hundred years ago, in fact, that vitamin C, or in particular, they didn't realize it was a vitamin, and certainly didn't have a term for it, but the realization among people that spent a lot of time on ships was that if you ate oranges, you could eliminate the symptoms of scurvy. But if you contrast taking vitamin C in tablet form with eating oranges and its effect on scurvy, you find that the oranges are much more effective.
Yeah, that's why they were called, the sailors were called limeys, because if they had citrus, they had limes and lemons hanging around their neck like a necklace.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And the same thing with salt. They devitalized salt, and they knew they had to put natural iodine back in, or a synthetic form now, or people get goiters. And that very same thing illustrates. There was a raceway out in Santa Anita, California. Horses, $1 million racehorses, they get a parasite, they lose their hair, and they die. And the vets there were using a synthetic form of iodine to kill the parasite, because parasites don't like iodine. And it was not saving the horses. It wasn't until an herbalist gave them an organic source of iodine from black walnut that killed the parasite and saved the horses. So you're absolutely right.
And extending that principle, if we extend it to food fortification, then it just makes sense that what the food processors are adding to processed foods to make up for the loss of nutrients is not going to have a positive impact on our immune systems.
This is true. And like you were saying about ingredients, sometimes you can't understand what's in there, because they have so many labels and names for things now.
Right. Well, this gets to, as you're aware, one of the themes of the 100-Year Life book is about